Scale, scale, scale. In the world of entrepreneurship, scaling is, well, seemingly the holy grail. Everyone's selling you and everyone's talking about how you can grow your business to 7+ figures, how you can scale your impact, scale your reach more people, and generate more revenue all the time. But here's the truth. Many of those entrepreneurs who are talking about those 7-figure launches don't talk about the fact that it took 6.5 figures to actually do it. You see, many people think that scaling actually leads to more liberty, more freedom, more empowerment, more for you. But I believe that's kind of a fallacy. In fact, scaling is overrated in my opinion, and you can actually have a much better lifestyle by, well, trying something different. So let's dive into it in this video. So the first thing I want to talk about is how scale is a story. You see, this channel is all about breaking down the mechanics of storytelling and what that looks like to build your online presence and tell the stories that matter to you, whether that be in business or whether that be working with a nonprofit, whether that's something that you're doing for fun or as a career. This channel is meant to help you, well, tell stories. But most people have a fallacy that comes with the idea of scale because we think that more equals better. We were raised in a consumeristic society where the more you had, the better you were doing. The more success that you achieved in certain metrics, whether it be dollars or followers, those metrics somehow mattered. They somehow spoke to the value that you were creating in the world, as if they were a reflection in some way, shape, or form of your efforts and of the value that you're creating in the marketplace. And well, to me, that's just not true. I mean, you have to ask yourself, what do you really value? I believe that many people are constantly looking to scale, specifically entrepreneurs who have just started out, somebody who's kind of just started to have their first channels of success, their first big wins, and then all of a sudden are taking all their money and betting big over and over and over again. Now, there's a difference between doubling down and reinvesting on the core things that you are looking to master. But most people, when they're thinking about scale, talk about scaling way more than that, scaling beyond their realm of genius, scaling beyond the clients that they're already serving at a high level or in a direct way that people feel that impact. And they're buying into this evergreen dream, right? How many people want to earn passive revenue online? I'm guilty. I'm right there with you. I started a Superhero Academy, an old online course with that goal in mind. But really, the goal and the reason why I started Superhero Academy is because I learned that most eco-villages, unlike I want to build here in Montreal, required or made most of their money through online education. So my passion was there to see myself through all the different fallacies of scale, because the scale for me had more to do with building something that I find deep purpose in, rather than just being bigger. See, making more money comes with more problems. I mean, we've heard it in a rap song, right? No, but seriously, I know that it might sound like a really privileged asshole, but the truth is that actually the more that you look to scale, the more people you hire, the more other people you need, and the more infrastructure you need to deal with that scale. Because everything starts to grow. The bigger you make your email list, now you have to pay more and more money just to contact those people. But as you add more layers of complexity, what ends up happening is you start to step away from the genius that you are actually providing to your clients. You see, we get distracted from what really is working, all the while chasing this kind of endless dream of getting to a place where everything is on autopilot. But I'll tell you, the more people you hire, the less autopilot you have. There's drama between people. They need to get paid. You need to scale your accounting systems. You need to pay more taxes. You're going to need a lawyer because every once in a while, when you scale everything, things get complicated and you need to do things at bigger and bigger heights. And those heights come with small amounts of time that you have to dedicate to a bunch of little details that maybe you're good at, maybe you found a way to learn, maybe you've read a book or two, maybe Gary Vee inspired you in some way, shape, or form, maybe you found a way to do it more and more efficiently because Tim Ferriss helped you batch some stuff. But are you really actually achieving more? Here's what I'll say. In my experience, as I scaled my business, the more my business grew, the more unhappy I became, the more I actually became a slave to my business over time. Now, I've heard of a study, and I can't remember the exact number, but it's something around like $75,000 to $80,000. After about $75,000 to $80,000 a year, you tend to not really scale in happiness. We have these studies that talk about happiness, but we don't really recognize that in the world of entrepreneurship. We see the flashy figures and the Facebook ads that roll through that are always talking about these big businesses because they're selling you on something. They're selling you a story that isn't actually true. So what is actually true? What does scale well into actual happiness or into a metric that maybe matters for you? And for me, that looks like high integrity. You see, the only thing I want to scale is the level of detail and mastery that I can have on some of the things that I do really well. I love storytelling. I love video. I love producing. Am I the best at it? No, but I'm planning on scaling it, quote unquote, only because I'm actually deeply passionate about it. It has nothing to do with how much money this is bringing me. It has nothing to do with how much this is going to have impact on other people. It has to do with my pure joy and excitement. And that scales really well because you don't have to think about it. You don't have to constantly reinvest in it. You naturally have this energy flowing through you at any one moment. And as that happens, your excitement attracts people, and that raises your rates if you're doing consulting work, or if you're a freelancer, or if you're a creative or an artist, even if you're an entrepreneur. The more that your passion can be exuded powerfully outwards, and the more impact in terms of depth, not in terms of width, the more value you will create and the bigger your business will be, and the bigger and the deeper your impact will be. You see, take it from somebody who's reached millions of people online. I can tell you that scaling to reach millions just because you know that if you post this meme at this time and you can share it across a bunch of different pages that it's gonna go viral, I could tell you that that's worth absolutely nothing compared to a really powerful message that was seen by maybe 1,000 people. Because the impact of a powerful message, something that you love, something like even this video that might only get 34 views, those 34 people who watched this video, who received this message, might have really needed to hear it. And scaling comes with challenges. You've heard this before in small scale studies when they do pharmaceutical tests or all kinds of different things. What we observe in the physics of something small doesn't always perfectly scale to the masses. You're going to realize that there is a fallacy in the world of entrepreneurship that is being sold to you as a story that is a lie. I think you're only going to find yourself painted into a corner. I'm guilty of it to some degree. I mean, tried it, tested it. I don't think I ever went down the storylines of scale to 7 figures. I definitely never did, in fact. But I definitely talked about growing your business. I definitely talked about people hiring more people or bringing on bigger teams. And that's okay. It's important to bring on talent that can help do the things that you are not a genius at. But if I could give you any piece of advice, it's to invest in the long term. Adopt a long-term mindset and a slow growth mindset. Adopt a mindset that says that you don't always have to make it on the first try. That in fact, the trying, the doing of the work actually is teaching you everything you need to know. And for most of you, that is going to be worth more when you tell that story to the next person who's 2 steps behind you, who wants to learn from you, because that's your best client. That's the person who's willing to pay you the most amount of money. That's the person who's willing to work with you one-on-one or join your group program if that's how you want to scale. But think about what is really important to you and go about meticulously entering a state of deep integrity with how good you are at that thing. If you can become one of the world's best at something, put in your 10,000 hours, heck, put in your 20,000 hours. I guarantee you your brand will scale itself. And if you want to scale, if you really do want to go down the rabbit hole of trying to hire a big team and making all that happen, then at least let me give you this advice as well. Start small. Do a little step, one little seed, and test it and test it and test it. Find the most potent seed and then scale. Don't just try and scale the second you think you have something that's working. Don't always just be looking to ramp up, because I can tell you that it's a fallacy. And I say this because I'm the person who's made this mistake many times over. I've deferred my happiness 1,000 times because I always thought that when I achieve this, I'll be happy. When I achieve this, I can work less. When I have this much money in the bank, I'll invest less and I'll just save more. It's not true. It's not true at all. The more I scaled my business, the more stressed and anxious I became. And when I scaled back, all the way back to basically just myself, and now hiring some people, yeah, somebody behind the camera right over here, right? Sam F. That scale, all the way back to the core of why I started and do what I do. And then yes, hiring people to support me in the things that they're great at. Hiring people to support me in the things that maybe would take me way more time. And keeping it simple, sweet, manageable, streamlined, filled with passion rather than duty. Well, that's impactful. So how do you scale, well, down? Well, let me tell you about somebody who's been a deep inspiration for me. His name is James Clear, and he's the author of Atomic Habits, a phenomenal book that you must read. Honestly, it is crucial. The information in there is life-changing. I very rarely recommend a book this highly. Please go check it out. Link in the description. I have no affiliate of any kind. I just love it because it talks about the most fundamental thing that scales out very powerfully, but starts in the smallest of ways. Habits. See, scaling out moves your attention and your energy into 1,001 different places. I mean, put it this way, it's like trying to start a fire with a magnifying glass, right? You're out in the forest, you've got a magnifying glass, you need to get a fire going before nighttime comes. And if you keep moving your magnifying glass, right, like your attention, and you just keep moving it around, you will never successfully start a single fire. Yet, you have the ambition of scaling to thousands of fires. You want to create and support not only your own fires, but other people's fires. But you know what the fastest way to light 1,000 fires is? To focus on lighting one and then carrying a torch from that fire to the next. So what does it take to light a single fire with a magnifying glass with your attention? Well, it takes really good habits, good discipline, integrity, staying in one place in this little fable. By holding it there, being patient, recognizing that the impact is growing, and that maybe at the beginning you don't fully see anything, but once it catches, once it's there, now you can scale. Once you've got that magnified power in one small place, well, what does fire do but spread? It turns into the wildfire that you want to have. And well, the good kind of wildfire, the kind of wildfire where you're maintaining control, of course. Heart goes out to California on this one. But if you want to have deep impact, if you want to make your business bigger, focus on who you are and who you be. Show up in a way where your integrity is high and people will notice. People want to work with the best. And in fact, the people with the most amount of money, the people who can scale the salary and the impact and the amount of money that would actually land directly in your pocket without having to build 1,000 funnels, those people, they want to hire the masters because they don't have time. That's what they're using their money for. They're too busy scaling that they need to hire the best people. So consider being the best person. Consider being even 1% better than you are today. Another thing I learned from James Clear and some of his books and his teachings is rather than trying to be 100% better, rather than starting to go from like, I never work out to now all of a sudden I work out every day and I'm going to be, the next Wolverine character in the next hero movie, rather than trying to just deeply accelerate in that way, can you focus on a single habit that gets you into that mind state, that gets you into that space and gets you 1% closer? Because 1% closer today and 1% closer tomorrow and the next day, well, that's exponential. That's actual sustainable scale. That's where real scale, real impact will start to happen. And that requires patience. Got it? I think you do.